Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex. I'm an artist and art student in San Antonio, Texas, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a studio update, talk about some things I've been working on, some just general ideas and thoughts that I am working with, and I'll show you a few pieces that are finished and in progress. I had started doing, or I had done one, studio update at the beginning of January, and I kind of had this idea to follow the format of the way that a lot of knitters do like making podcasts on YouTube. And what they do and what I do for my knitting podcast is you walk through items that have been finished, things that are in progress, plans, materials that you've gathered, and ideas and inspiration. And I thought that I would be able to translate that to sort of the rest of my studio practice, which is a very multimedia, chaotic thing. So my January studio update, I talked a lot about things that I wanted to work on. I felt like it made sense. It worked, and I did do some of those things. In February though, I recorded a studio update and it was just so chaotic. I think there's a lot going on in my brain and in my studio because I have my personal practice and things that I'm making for myself or to sell or just to experiment, and then there is a ton of stuff that I'm making for school. I am in 4 studio classes, so I have 4 different school project classes that are kind of all going in these cycles at the same time. So I thought it would be good to separate just what I'm doing for personal and what I'm doing for my studios, for my classes, had that be 2 separate things. And in February, I recorded those 2 things, and it seemed like a logical break. So I had to step away. So I took a break filmed them separately, but it was so separate, and I didn't feel like I could cut it into 2 videos because they were also very intertwined. I'm about to graduate, and as you kind of move on in art school, you really want to start developing your artistic voice, what you want to say, and making really meaningful work that goes with your personal practice in your classes. So it was I'm referencing my personal work and my classwork. Some of my classwork is sort of becoming my personal work because I'm just putting so much extra effort into it, and it's something that I like to take my class assignments and really form them to what I want them to be and what works for me. So there was no way to really separate it. I know I'm taking forever to explain this, but it just didn't work out last month, and I decided for this month I want to go in a little bit of a different direction. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk about a specific idea or medium that is inspiring to me and that I've been working with recently, and show just a few select works in progress that really sort of go with that theme. And so I'm thinking we can do a little bit of a themed update whenever I feel like there's something specific kind of happening in my studio that I want to share about. That way I don't feel like I need to share every single thing that's going on. So you probably already know because I'm going to title this video in a relevant way, but this video is all about patchwork and how I am using the ideas of quilting in a lot of different mediums in my classes and in my personal work. So I have several different pieces that I want to show you. I think we'll probably do 4 different works in progress that are using the idea of quilting and patchwork and what other kinds of mediums I can put that into, because the textures and colors and patterns and the history and the meaning of quilts is really inspiring to me, and I have been feeling just ready to jump in and just make those things that are interesting to me, and I don't need to worry too much about why. It's something that's exciting and beautiful to me, so that's what I am working with. So I guess we'll start like they do with the knitting podcast with what I'm wearing. So I'll probably have to get some separate footage of this, and I'll throw in some other footage of me like holding and like looking at these pieces so you can really see them. But this is a patchwork top that I made, and like and I'm kind of saying, you know, this is a mixed media exploration that I'm doing. Honestly, the reason why I made this top was because in my photography class, I have an assignment to do basically an editorial shoot. So we're doing a photo assignment that is going to be more commercial and less conceptual. So still looking at, of course, like composition and color, and like focal point, like stuff like that, but making it editorial is going to be, you can sort of make it more like an ad or have some sort of like message. So I thought it would be really interesting to do sort of a fashion shoot with handmade or like mended, thrifted, altered clothing, because that's something that I'm super interested in and passionate about. However, I don't have a ton of pieces. Like, I don't have enough handmade clothing to do like a whole fashion shoot, really. I haven't been doing it that long, and the pieces that I have made, they just take a long time. And I wanted to kind of lean into the like patchwork idea, and some of the pieces that I've made and like altered and stuff just look very, I don't know, normal, boring, like store-bought, just everyday kind of wear. And I like that they're handmade, and I think I will be able to incorporate some of that stuff into my photo shoot. I haven't taken my photos yet. I've been planning and making pieces for this shoot. But yeah, I thought it would be a good sort of excuse and opportunity to make a new piece or two that would really fit into the aesthetic that I'm going for the shoot, to kind of use it like to highlight that piece. So I made this top. It's like a cropped, super boxy top. I got the pattern is from Etsy. I will have to put on the screen if you sew. Oh wait. Called the Sally top. It's definitely called the Sally top. I'm not sure the designer, but I definitely got it on Etsy. Yeah, I just patchworked all of the pieces. So this is not like a pattern for a patchwork top. I made these patchwork pieces and cut out the pattern pieces, and it has tie closures on the back, which I think is cute and kind of goes with the like the DIY, like handmade kind of thing, having like the sort of ribbon tie in the back. It's not as like functional and wearable for me. I think I would be more comfortable with something that had like buttons on the front or on the side or something, but I'm able to just tie them and slip it over my head. So it's not a huge deal. I don't have to like tie and untie them. It's just like a little bit, it's a little bit sort of frilly, which is not like my personal style that I go to on an everyday basis, but I feel like it definitely works for this piece and for the concept of the shoot. So yeah, we're going with that. And I do like how it turned out. I finished this really quickly because I was just so excited about the idea and doing it for the shoot. So I'm proud of myself for just doing it. I just used stuff that I had. I'm really liking the idea of just like, you know, my yarn, my fabric, my drawing and painting materials, to use them, to like use the creative energy and the materials that I have to make things. You don't have to go and buy new materials always to like create your vision, especially for me, because my vision is always pretty flexible, especially whenever I'm thinking about fabric work, because I like to layer. Anyway, so I was kind of working with this patchwork theme, and I got this opportunity through school to make a massive woodblock print. And my piece of wood, so my print is going to be 2 feet by 4 feet, and we're going to print on fabric because paper at that size is very expensive and very delicate. wouldn't really hold up to the printing process. We're gonna roll over these prints with like a steamroller, like a giant piece of equipment. So I am carving and therefore printing a like full quilt design. So with this 2 foot by 4 foot rectangle, I split it up into 8-inch squares. So I have 18 squares, and I traced on, kind of transferred on classic quilt block motifs. And I have selected some different sort of classic patterns, some like foliage, some stripes, plaid. I think I'm probably gonna add in some polka dots, and then some solid like white and black. And I'm putting all of that in as like the fabric. So I'm gonna print this giant piece of wood onto a muslin fabric in black and white. And I think it's gonna come out really cool. It's very different from what the other people doing this project are doing, but it's very me. I just had to kind of stick with my gut and go for it. And it's challenging to get the really geometric shapes because the wood will, whenever you're going with the grain of the wood, it will kind of just keep pulling away. So I'm definitely getting some areas that are like coming off and like splintering off, where it won't print like exactly perfectly geometrically. Like I'm kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm not even really going for that anymore, because I'm just recognizing that that is the nature of the material, and you're just going to be able to tell that it is a handmade wood block, and I'm fine with that. I think it's still going to be really clear that it's a quilt, and the imperfections, if there's anything that prints or doesn't print, really that doesn't print that like I wish had printed, like if I accidentally took out a big chunk of something where there's a little line that I really wanted there to be a line, you can kind of fudge it and add that in like right after you print, get a little bit more ink with like a paintbrush or something, and kind of fill it in. So worst case scenario, I could do that, or if I accidentally took out a big piece that I didn't want to, you can kind of stick it back in with like wood glue. Right now, mostly I just have these little kind of splintering pieces in some of the patterns and on some of the thin lines, and I think that it's gonna be just fine. Yeah, that's, I'm enjoying working on it. It's taking a very long time because it's a really large piece, but it's inspiring to me, and I like having really different medium pieces that I can bounce back and forth between. That really keeps me engaged. So that's a way that I can work on art all day if I am sewing, and then I'm knitting, and then I'm drawing, and then I'm carving at this wood block. You know, sitting and carving is a little bit hard on your hands. It takes a lot of focus. It's like not the most ergonomic position that I'm in to carve. So it's nice that I can go work on it for a little bit and then take a break and do something else, give my hands and my back and everything a little bit of a break. I'm hoping to have that finished in about a week. And the footage that you'll see that I've been kind of showing is where we're at right now. And I've been working on it for probably about a week. So I definitely think it's doable. I've gotten more efficient as I have continued working on it. I kind of know which tools to use where, what's better for larger areas and what's better for my small detailed areas. So it's really coming together, and I'm really enjoying that piece as well. The third piece that I'm working on is my actual quilt. I'm so excited to share this with you guys, because if you were here in January, you may have seen my quilt was in progress during my January studio update. I had not fully made it into a blanket. It was very much in pieces, and I have joined all of the pieces to create the quilt top. I have connected it to the batting, the sort of inner fluffy layer, and the backing. I chose to do a cotton muslin so it matches the like cream color, the background behind my squares. And I am working on hand stitching the 3 layers together to like sandwich and hold them together. And the process is so meditative. It's relaxing, it's really nice. It is taking a long time, but I'm trying to just sort of chip away at it. It's not, I don't dread it or anything. It just is very slow, but it's something that I can do while I'm just watching something or relaxing. So I'm trying to just sort of chip away at it day by day, little by little. It's not a huge rush to finish it, but I like to think of myself as like a quilter, and I love quilts, and I'm always talking about quilts and putting them into my work. And I have not made a lot of quilts, especially big full blankets. I've made 2 big blankets. So this is my 3rd full quilt blanket. I mean, it makes sense. They take months to make. It's a lot of steps, especially if you're hand quilting it. I mean, it takes a long time, and that's why they're so special. I think that's partly why I'm so drawn to quilts in the other types of work that I do. So I'm really embracing the process and just trying to chip away at it. For an update on kind of how far I am along with this hand quilting process, my little squares, there are 100 of them, 10 by 10. I'm making like a large throw for my couch, so it's a big square, and I am doing a hand quilted little square around each square, about like a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch away from like the edge of that. So I'm gonna go around each one, and there are 100 of them, and I have done the stitching around about 20 of them. But I think if I sat down for 20 minutes or so, I could do like 3 or 4. So, but then at that point, kind of the same with like the woodcut, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. I tend to like poke my fingers and stuff, so I don't like to keep doing it for too long, but I'll work on it for a little bit, put it away, come back to it, and I'm really enjoying that process. And I like that that quilt has a lot of the same, like literally the same fabrics, but also just a lot of the same colors as my patchwork top. And I'm hoping to incorporate both into this photo shoot that I'm doing for photography. I don't think the quilt is going to be done for this photo assignment. I need to take my photos like in the next few days, but I think that I'll use the in progress piece and maybe hang it up on the wall as a backdrop, something like that. And maybe it being in progress, because you can really tell that it has the like raw edges. It's got like fabric waving off the edge, and you can see the batting and stuff coming off the edge. Maybe that will contribute to the idea or something for the photographs, if that is sort of highlighted. But I could also, if it's hung up as a backdrop, could kind of cut that out, and I don't think you would really be able to tell that it's not finished. So we'll see. I might do both, might do one or the other. But yeah, I'm just really inspired by quilting and patchwork right now. I'm trying to learn more about the craft and just practice. I have looked a lot at this book that I have called The Encyclopedia of Classic Quilt Patterns. Sorry, I'm looking because it's right over there. And that's what I used for the most part to design my woodcut. But I'm also thinking about making some of the, like just making the single squares, which I've done with one piece before, just made a single square, but I never really got to what I would do with that. But I think it could be really interesting to put a quilt block on a garment, like think on the back of a jacket or on the front of like a tank like this if it was plain, if it had a quilt block on the front and the center. I think that could be a really cute, playful thing to do or make or wear. So yeah, that's just some of the other ideas that I'm thinking about getting into sort of on this theme. An example of how I'm sort of trying to work this idea into both my personal work, like the quilt is just something that I started for me, I'm doing to make for my family, to put on my couch, but I'm gonna work that into my photography project. And I didn't share much about this because this project is not very far along. I wouldn't really consider it a work in progress, but I am also taking an advanced ceramics class, and soon we'll be starting a long-term project for the second half of the semester where we can make whatever we want to make. And I am I'm planning to do a patchwork and fiber themed like piece or collection or set of pieces for that, but I'm still working on getting my ideas laid out and making decisions for what I want that project to be, but that's also going to kind of jump in with this idea. So yeah, just lots of quilty stuff, as always, lots of knitting, and I didn't even get into the things that I'm doing for my painting class, my painting commission that I'm working on. This is why I need to kind of do this focused sort of themed studio update, make my videos make sense, you know? I'm working on making videos that are clear and interesting. So leave me a comment if you felt like this was clear or interesting or not. I'm totally down for feedback. Be nice, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of my quilty studio life. I'm so happy that you joined me. This was really nice to chat about all these things and kind of be able to make these connections. I'm excited to take some more footage and put together a viewing experience. I don't think I'm gonna do a schedule for my studio updates, because I think I'm gonna do like I did with this one, where whenever I see kind of a theme, things that I'm working on that kind of go together and have similar ideas, I'll talk about that. So I may not do another one for a while, or I may do an update on this sort of quilty area of my studio in a few weeks or a month or whenever I feel like it. But I will I will be doing another knitting podcast and knitting update very soon. So if you are a knitter, if you're interested in my knitting, that is what will be coming next to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.